John, safe to say that after a win like that and no injuries, you'd be pretty comfortable going with the Suns to the team on the weekend?
Yeah, well, without there's no forced changes, that's for sure. With everyone's pulled up well, so that's great. There's some guys that have been in good form in the waffle, so yeah, we'll have a look at all the other selection issues that we go through every week. Opposition, weather, ground. All those sort of things. Yeah, in my mind, we've taken the steps forward that I was hopeful we would take, but still with a clear picture of where we are. And I've said it a few times this week that we haven't played Collingwood or Geelong or Carlton yet. Those teams that are in great form, and we've been beaten by Essendon, Hawthorn, and Sydney, who are around our mark. So. There's 6 challenges that we haven't met yet or succeeded against. So we're probably about where I was hoping we would be, with some big tests to come. I know how far we've improved. This is to see how we match up against Collingwood now, the reigning premiers. So yeah, I don't think I need to see what happens in this game to know where we're at. But it's a good challenge for our players at the MCG. But I'd expect will be a pretty big crowd, and see how they go stringing together another consistent effort. We haven't got through one round of everyone playing each other yet, and that's when you get a fair idea, and that's why I'm saying we haven't played a lot of the top sides in the comp yet, or the ones that are sitting up the top of the ladder. So those challenges lay ahead for us, and as do many other challenges. As I said, we weren't good enough to beat Essendon or Sydney or Hawthorn, so there's other challenges there. We didn't specifically sit down and look at what Collingwood were doing. There was areas of our game that we wanted to change slightly around fixing some areas of concern for us. So, and there's other areas that we've been working on for 3 years pretty hard that have improved, and where people now notice them when we were working on them even the last couple of years. So it's that gradual improvement, plus making some minor changes to the way some of the things we were doing.
So with the game plan, did you go back to tours? Did you go back and start again at this season, or was it just an evolution?
Evolution, Barry. Yeah, there's. I think that's always the way that you add to parts of your game. We've had a fairly young group. We've been one, educating our older players to play a different style, but also younger players, educating them on what we expect from them. So that's been a work in progress, and that's been coming together over 3 years. And some changes we make to the plan we were going with that we thought we needed to adjust because it wasn't working for us.
You always study the successful teams, don't you? So did you take bits of Collingwood and St Kilda? Or?
Not really, no. We've had a fair idea of what we've wanted to work on and what we wanted to do. So that was more around what we'd learnt about ourselves and what the strengths and weaknesses of our list is, and adjusting to that.
Must be encouraging though, John, when 16 players are playing in the waffle.
Well, yeah, the fitness of our squad has certainly been better this year than probably recent history for us, and that does certainly helps. I mean, that's an obvious factor for all clubs, to have your best squad available, but as many of your players available playing every week as you can.
Took Jarrett across against the Essendon game. Is there a chance a youngster might go across and be the sub for the experience this week? As the sub, we'll pick the best 22. So the sub will be the player we think is going to add the best value to us in our team this week. So it's not around just giving a player some experience. So really, yeah, with our 22, it's always about picking the best available, taking into account some factors, but not too many. Are you worried about Collingwood's tools when you're having, I guess, Schofield and Glass back there with a couple of guys out? They can put 3 or 4 big guys down there like you can?
Well, we're aware of that, yeah. So we'll have things in place to be able to cope and back our guys in for sure.
But your strength will be your forwards, won't they, really? That's one area you've really capitalised this year. Would that be fair to say? Yeah,
I think our forwards are marking very well. You know, Jack Darling's shown he's very good overhead. Lynchy's back in his best form in terms of his marking. Kennedy's in good form, and our ruckmen are looking threatening up there and starting to take some as well. So marking inside forward 50, even contested marking, has been pretty strong for us. So we're hopeful that will continue.
You mentioned reservations having not played the Collingwoods, etc. Also, the fact that what they've done to you over there a couple of times, you sort of, this is an occasion where you can get a better gauge now that you've got your so-called game plan and your players fit to see whether you're where you want to be. Yeah,
it gives us an idea against what most would say is the most or the best team in the competition, even though you know, they're not on top of the ladder at the moment. It's a good test. Some brilliant individual tests for the players. You know, if Schofield's playing on Dawes or Cloak, it's another big test for him. And we're wrapped with the way he's stepped up into the responsibility of being one of the key backs. And it's another test. And it goes through some of the midfielders. You know, Shuey might be on Swan or on Pendlebury and these types of players. So really good test for some of our younger players.
You mentioned Shuey. I mean, some may say he might have to guard Swan or Pendlebury, but Collingwood might have a different view after seeing him this year. Regard Shuey now as one of those not far away from being a potential elite midfielder.
Yeah, well, you probably summed it up there, Skeet. Not far away from being a potential. You know,
it wasn't the best word.
No, maybe not. He's only up to 12 or 13 games, I think. So, you know, he's developing really well. Obviously, he's been here for a few years and missed through injury, but yeah, we're going to see the best of him in a couple of years' time. But he's showing glimpses of how good he's going to be for a long period of time.
John, how do you assess Andrew Emble's year so far? Is this the best form you've seen him for a while?
Embers has been in solid form over the last couple of years, even when the team's been struggling. He's been one player that has held up pretty well. We played him back a fair bit a couple of years ago and he was really held up strongly for us. But back on the wing and kicking goals in that sort of form, it's the best form for a little while, I'd say.
Coming into this year, John, there was a lot of talk about the sub rule, that teams could get away with playing one specialist ruckman. You've played two and some ruckmen from other sides, Darren Jolly, we saw him in Sandilands on the weekend, have broken down or are going to miss games. Do you think having two ruckmen is actually maybe proving that it's still just as important under the new rules as it was in previous years?
Yeah, it's probably too early to judge that yet. But we're mindful that you know, over a long season, one ruckman carrying a big workload can take its toll. So the fact that we're able to rest our ruckman off the ground, as well as give them some time up forward where they're not working quite as hard, we think will be beneficial throughout 22 home and away rounds, 24 these days. Yeah, whether that contributes to injury or just fatigue, I don't know. It's a bit early to call that, but you know, the value we have is that both our ruckmen are very mobile. Nat Nui can actually go on ball and give one of our midfielders a bit more of a rest as well at different times, and so they're not just playing as a tall forward or at different times.